Welcome to Universal Group of Institution. Today's topic that we are going to learn is Human Development Index. So it is an important indicator that we are going to learn. So HDI meaning it is nothing but a composite index. We are using a statistical tool to measure and quantify important social factors, economic factors, and other health factors. So this is the meaning that you have to use. So when it comes to the origin of HDI, so it was originated during 1990s when UNO, our intergovernmental organization, that actually went on to release a report, that is Human Development Report, in the year 1990 under United Nations Development Program. So that is the mechanism which worked with the publishing of this HDI. So it's the initial Human Development Index that we are referring to. So the proponents of HDI is none other than Dr. Mahbub, who served as former finance minister of Pakistan, and in addition to that, he also took the stewardship of creating this Human Development Index with other economists. So under UNO, so he is widely regarded with this index and also considered as chief architect of Human Development Index. So the other proponent is none other than is a proud Indian. So the first Indian economist to receive Nobel Prize, Dr. Amartya Sen, was always associated with the introduction of HDI, even though Mahbub who is being closely associated in terms of introduction of HDI, Dr. Amartya Sen's approach, that is capabilities approach and functioning approach, which talks about the potential human development. And he also wrote a book, that is Freedom as Development. It is the Indian version in 1999, which also talks about different human development factors. So he is closely associated with the introduction of HDI, but it was introduced under the stewardship of uh, Mahbub. So three important indicators, or you can call it as, what do you call, dimensions. Dimensions, those are life expectancy at birth. The second dimension is education and knowledge. Initially it was called knowledge. Now we are quantifying the index, education index, and ultimately GNI, uh, at purchasing power parity. Okay, so we are quantifying the decent standard of living with GNI. Initially it was GDP per dollar, per capita income. Now we are quantifying it with GNI, gross national income. And if we are going to calculate per capita income, that is also based on GNI. GNI is nothing but total income, total income earned by the residents of an economy in a national territory. National territory is nothing but both domestic territory, domestic territory, and net factor income from abroad. Okay, so net factor income from abroad, so that is the foreign residents who are like foreign nationals, like there's a residents who are residing in foreign countries. So those income which they are earning will become your net factor income, that is deducted with the foreign nationals who are actually having their companies or working here. So all those things gets deducted, and ultimately that income will become your gross national income. And we are gauging it with purchasing power parity. Okay, so later on we are going to learn as to how we are going to quantify this purchasing power parity in terms of GNI, in order to understand the decent standard of living. So how do we constitute indices? So you have long and healthy life, which talks about longevity of a person, and you have knowledge, which there are two components in which we quantify this knowledge or education, that is expected years of schooling, and we also talk about mean years of schooling there. Okay, so and decent standard of living, as I've already recited that GNI, per capita purchasing power parity. See, purchasing power parity is nothing but, let's say, so one dairy milk, it costs around 10 rupees in India, 10 rupees in India, but in US, let's say, it costs around $1. Okay, so $1 is equal to, let's assume it has 100 rupees. But when some person from America who visits to India, so he can buy that same what same a dairy milk chocolate with 17 rupees. Okay, so the purchasing power parity here changes when compared to international dollars. International dollars. So one chocolate, $1 is equal to 17 rupees in terms of purchasing power parity. Okay, in terms of purchasing power parity, India ranks third. GDP in terms of purchasing power parity, GDP in terms of purchasing power parity, India ranks third. First is USA, and then it comes, then comes China, and ultimately third rank is India. Let's start with the first dimension, long healthy life. Uh, so which talks about the longevity. So here there is a formula which I've pasted in this presentation. So life expectancy per 2009 report is minimum value of a person is 25 years, maximum value is 85 years. But now the minimum value has reduced to 20 years. The formula for it is actual value minus minimum value divided by maximum value minus minimum value. Okay, so I've said that now recently the minimum value has reduced to 20 years. So let's assume India's actual value or life expectancy at birth is 60, and the minimum value is, let's say, 20, and of course you have uh, the maximum value, that is 85 minus 20. Okay, so 60 minus 20, let's say it is 40, and then 85 minus 20, that is 65. Okay, so when we subtract this, it is somewhere around 0.4 or 49. Let's assume it as 0.4. Okay, so that is how we are going to quantify this life expectancy. Okay, so just an hypothetical estimate. I did a hypothetical approximate value, that is 0.4 I've taken. So the second is education. So education, like I've already said, there are two components out of it: mean years of schooling and expected years of schooling. Okay, expected will be the highest, that is of 18 years. Mean years of schooling is of 15 years. That is what the criteria that is given by HDI. So when we amalgamate this, let's say 15 plus 18 divided by 2, the average of it will be around 16.5. So because that is 15 plus uh, that is 33 divided by 2, that will become 16.5 by 2 by, okay, 16.5 when we divide 33 by 2. Okay, so this happens with the expected years of schooling index and also the mean years of schooling index when we take the average out of it. Okay, so this is an important things. So the formula which is now being used is two-third index of average literacy index and also gross enrollment index. So that has been taken for two-third weightages for average literacy index and one-third weightages for gross education index. But we'll go with the conventional one. So I'll go back and forth. See, we have used actual values minus minimum value, maximum value minus minimum value. Okay, so we'll use the same thing: actual value versus minimum value, maximum value versus minimum value. Let's say let's say that the expected years of schooling is 5 point, or let's say 6.9, and mean years of schooling is 11.1. Okay, So expected years of schooling is 6.9 and mean years of schooling is 11.1. Okay, I'll just round it off. Okay, I've highlighted it. 11.1 plus 6.9, so that accounts for 17. 17 divided by 2, 2 ones are 2, 8 is a 16. Okay, 8.5, that is, okay, 2 8 is a 16, 8.5 is your average of mean years of schooling plus expected years of schooling. Okay, so like I said, we'll use the old formula which we have used in the previous indexes. Okay, so that is like actual value minus minimum value. Okay, so maximum value minus minimum value. Okay, so the minimum value is 0 here, maximum value is, that is 11.1. So maximum value is here, like the presentation shows 15 plus 18, that is 33. 33 divided by 2, that becomes your 16.5 is your maximum value. Minimum value is always 0. So here if we want to quantify it, the actual value, we have derived an example, that is the average of it is 8.5 minus minimum value, that is 0. So actual value is, so maximum value is, that is 16.5 minus 0. Okay, when we actually try to divide this, let's say we are arriving at a result of uh, let's say the indicator is less than half. Okay, so that we are going to get, so 0.5 that we are going to get. So education index, let's assume an example. See, like I've already said, we'll take an example. 11.1 will be your mean years of schooling plus 16.6.9 is your expected years of schooling. So that happens. Okay. So what happens here is, we are taking 11.1 as example and 6.9 as example for both the components, and the average out of it is 8.5. Okay, so 8.5 is the average out of it that has come after the division of both the components. And the maximum value is, let's assume, since the formula itself is prescribed that mean years of schooling's index is 15, average expected years of schooling is 18. So 15 plus 18, that is 33. 33 divided by 2 is 16.5. Okay, so we are taking this example, and when we actually quantify it, we measure it. Actual value is 8.5 minus 0 is 8.5. 16.5 minus 0 is 16.5, because maximum value after the averages which we have taken in the previous slide, it becomes 16.5. So when we divide it, when we make a solution out of it, we get 0.5 as the average indicator. See, in the first thing which we have taken example, the solution was around like 0.6, and here it is around 0.5. Okay, so that we have taken, so that is 0.4, this is 0.5. Okay, so that we have taken. So what happens here in GNI is, let's say GNI, let's assume India's average per capita income, let's assume it is $5,000. Okay, so same formula we are going to use and apply. So here what happens, instead of actual value, we are taking log of actual value minus minimum value. Okay, and then maximum value minus minimum value. Okay, log of minimum value, log of maximum value, log of again minimum value. Okay, so since we take logs of it, okay, so we arrive at this thing. So here maximum value for calculating GNI in terms of purchasing power parity compared to international dollars, so that is maximum value is $75,000. Okay, minimum value is $100. Okay, underneath, like under $100, if there is any per capita income of any country, that means they have no development at all, no human development. Okay, it is less than the low development of human indicators in terms of standard of living, decent standard of living. Okay, so what we are going to do here is, see, let's assume, uh, so that is $5,000, $5,000 log minus minimum value is $100, log of $100, log of $5,000 divided by log maximum value, that is $75,000. Okay, log of $75,000 minus you have minimum value, that is of log $100. Okay, so what happens when we take a sum out of it? So it is somewhere around, let's assume, 3.87 minus log of uh, 3.69, I guess. Okay, so let's say the log of $5,000 is 3.69, and the log of $75,000 is 4.87. Okay, so this is for $75,000 and this is for uh, $5,000. Okay, $5,000, that is 3.69, $75,000, it is 4.87. Okay, we have taken an hypothetical value, that is 5,000 for India. Okay, we are assuming India may have a GNI per capita income of $5,000. So when we got the logarithms of $5,000, that is 3.69, that is minus log of 100, so the base is 2. Okay, so 3.69 divided minus 2, and $75,000 log is 4.87. Okay, log value is 4.87 minus 2, again the minimum value is 2, and ultimately when we quantify all those things, we'll arrive at a conclusion of 0.58, 0.58 as the answer. Okay, so since we have taken values of all the sums, okay, so what happens here is, okay, uh, so here you can see the HDI ultimate formula when to quantify all the indices. Okay, all the indices, that could be life expectancy index, and EI talks about education index, and ultimately you have income index, which talks about the GNI. So this index comprehensively is called as income index. So since we have used uh, a common formula for all three indices, that is helpful for your mains, because that is an easy one. So let's quantify the things. Okay, so here we are using what kind of mean? Geometric mean. Here geometric mean is highly used when you are calculating all the indicators of HDI or dimensions of HDI. Okay, so cube root of, let's say, 0.4, which we have talked about in the first life expectancy index, that is the ultimate outcome. The second index, it's around 0.5, and again in the third index, okay, it is around 0.54. Okay, 0.54. Ultimate sum will be, I'm actually telling the hypothetical value, it will be around 0.68. Okay, so the sum that is going to be derived with the usage of geometric mean is going to be 0.68. Okay, so this is how the quantification of human development indicators happens. Okay, human development index happens in this way. Okay, so what are the facts of it? OECD countries typically have a very high human development. Okay, so because of their policies makings and their sustainability level. See, HDI, the premise of HDI from Mahbub was it should provide equity, sustainability, and different kinds of aspects. Okay, equity, sustainability, productivity, and empowerment. So that is what the premise of Mahbub. So productivity and sustainability talks about uh, health factors, and also it also talks about GNI, standards of living. Empowerment in economic liberalism and political democracy is somewhat cumbersome, but in OECD countries, you can see that every indicators they are taking it right and coming with different kinds of policies, contriving and devising a strategy that is much more beneficial than other countries. Okay, so typically they have a very high human development. Okay, and the countries with a very high human development rank from 1 to 69. Okay, so this happens, and the countries whose score is closer to 1, okay, HDI typically is calculated from 0 to 1. The countries rank which is closer to 1 will have a very high human development, which is more than like 8 0.80. Okay, 0.8 or 0.880. Okay, so they have a very high human development, which the country which ranges from 0 0.7 to 0.8 may have a high human development. Okay, what do they have? High human development. Okay, a human development. The countries, okay, which is more than 0.5 to 0.6. Okay, so they are having an average human development, or they fall under developing economies. So they are developing economies, they are somewhat improving but not to a major extent. Okay, so less than 0.5, they have a low human development ratio. Okay, so this happens here. And when it comes to current affairs, mostly Switzerland, the current report says Switzerland have a very high human development, which is closer to 0.967. And mostly Scandinavian countries like Norway, Denmark, and different countries have ranked uh, in the first spot many times. Okay, several times they have ranked a lot, and maybe they have a different contrived strategies or devised planning which has been beneficial for them, which have been beneficial to a major extent. Okay, so India ranks 134 out of 193 countries. Okay, so I mean, there is a lot of concern with the value which is being shown in the presentation, that is 0.644. Okay, despite all those public policy, India seems to be a soft state economy where there are different areas of concern that needs to be addressed, and policymakers have to uh, like increase the concern on certain factors. Okay, thank you for this wonderful session, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.